People who work for the super wealthy. What stuff have you seen? I used to do private security for a family worth 9 figures. Not celebrities, just quietly, obscenely rich. No reality show, no tabloids, no Instagram. The kind of wealth that doesn't need to announce itself because it's never had to compete for anything. I got the job through a friend of a friend. The interview wasn't with the family. It was with their head of household operations, a woman in her 60s who wore a blazer-like armor and handed me a 12-page NDA before she said hello. She told me the role was straightforward. Overnight protection, property monitoring, respond to anything that needed responding to. She said anything in a way that made clear she meant it literally. The estate was 40 minutes outside the city. 7 bedrooms, a full guest house, a pool house, a horse barn that hadn't had horses in years. The property was immaculate, the kind of immaculate that takes a staff, not pride. The family was a husband, a wife, and 2 kids away at boarding school most of the year. The husband had built a logistics company in his 30s and sold it in his 50s for a number I only found out by accident when I Googled him one slow night. The wife came from old money and wore it differently. Easier, quieter, like it was just weather. Most nights were nothing. Walk the perimeter, check the cameras, sit in the security room eating vending machine sandwiches, watching the monitors cycle through empty hallways and manicured lawn. After a few weeks, I started noticing it. The main house would go dark around 10, 11, then sometime after midnight, the kitchen light would come back on. Just that one light. And it would stay on until 2, sometimes 3 in the morning. I'd time my perimeter walks to pass by the back of the house during those hours, partly out of habit, partly because it felt wrong to just ignore a person standing alone in the dark. One night in early November, the wife called my radio in a panic, said there was someone in the backyard. I did a full sweep. Every corner, the barn, the pool house, along the fence line. Nothing. Gate logs showed no entry. I radioed her back. Clear. I was heading back to the security room when I saw him, standing at the far edge of the pool, not moving, just staring down at the water. Pajamas, bare feet on the concrete. It was maybe 40 degrees out. I walked over slowly and said, "Sir, everything's clear. Your wife called in. She's fine. Just wanted you to know." He didn't turn around right away, just kept looking at the water. Then he said, "Do you ever think about how much of your life you've spent just waiting for something to happen?" I'd been doing this job for 6 years across 3 different clients, and no one had ever said anything remotely like that to me at 2 in the morning. I looked at this guy. 4 houses, a plane I'd seen twice on the tarmac, a staff of 12, a net worth that had its own Wikipedia footnote, and I had genuinely no idea how to answer. I said, "Not really, sir." He nodded like that was the right answer, or maybe the wrong one. Hard to tell. Then he reached behind his back and held out a glass of scotch. Didn't offer it exactly, just extended his arm, like handing over something that was already mine. Like the transaction had already happened and this was just the delivery. I took it. I don't know why. I'm not sure I had a choice. He said, "I'm going to go back inside now." And he did. No goodnight, no explanation. Just walked back into the house and the kitchen light went off about 10 minutes later. I stood there by that pool. The pool the size of my apartment. The pool that probably cost more to heat per month than my rent. And I drank the scotch. I don't know what it cost. It tasted like something you'd remember. I wrote it up in the incident log as "client observed on rear patio. No threat, no action required." About a week later, I opened my locker before my shift and there was an envelope on top of my jacket. No name, no note, just 30 crisp hundreds in a bank envelope. The kind that's meant for counting, not gifting. $3,000. I kept working the job for another 4 months. In that time, the husband and I were in the same space maybe a dozen times. He was always polite, always normal, never referenced the pool, the scotch, the envelope. Not in a cold way, more like it had just passed through him and out the other side. I thought about bringing it up once, thanking him for the envelope or just acknowledging the whole thing. But every time I opened my mouth, it felt wrong, like I'd be handing something back that he'd already let go of. Some people have so much that they don't know how to give things away normally anymore. It doesn't come out as generosity. It comes out as these weird, quiet gestures that don't have a name. I understood it eventually. Just took me a while to stop waiting for it to make sense.